Rappers and music producers, specifically music producers, you are in for a surprise today. I have the very talented and the very informative AVE MCREE joining me today. How you doing today, bro?
Hey, what's going on, brother?
I know a lot of people are probably like, what's going on here? I never would have. Look at somebody. The first comment was, whoa. John Smith, let me say some things to the chat real quick. Busy Works Beats, what's up with you, brother? Greg Johnson, Low Cuts, Classy Beats, Marcus the producer, Booth on the Beat, 2 days in a row. Yeah, he said, hey, Av is the best. Yes, chase the dream. Brandon, thanks for giving me a shout out yesterday. Absolutely. John Smith, didn't see this coming. Yeah, well, it's here. Freddie Crooks, mixed by A White. What else? Percy the pianist. No, it sounded too close to. Yeah, let me just leave that alone. The piano player. I'm gonna just call you that. A Travels, Music Travels. Okay, Art Travels, Music Travels. I'm sorry, I read that wrong. I'm seeing it from a distance. So if you guys see, I have everything set up. Yes, absolutely. Rest in peace, Nipsey Hussle.
Yes,
I gotta say, how I feel right now is a direct result of the conversation I just had with this dude for the last hour. Because before we first got on, I don't know if you could tell, Av, but I was in a different headspace. Energy-wise, I was low. I was in a place because this is. I want you to speak too, because you told me you told me a story of your a few encounters with them in Atlanta and in New York, but I could tell you just from the perspective of somebody who lives out here, lives in California, who has been to the store. Who has been not only a fan of his music, but has had an opportunity, like in 2013, I had the opportunity to do a live stream with him and my buddy Noah James before he went on tour with Murs, do a live stream for paid dues, and he was there in the room with us, and I mean, you know, to meet somebody at different stages, like we talked about it, Av, you see his music when he was hustling the house, and you're like, in my mind, when I first saw him, I was like, okay, so we got another Snoop coming in, and to realize it was so much more. That's not a shot to Snoop, obviously, because he obviously is so important for the culture.
He's tore up right now, man. That
yeah,
I had to give myself a second, because seeing Snoop cry,
yeah,
that ain't often that you see a brother break down about another brother, but there's a lot that Nipsey was doing it for the community.
Yeah,
that. Like, I just do not understand why in the hell do we have people that go out and attack the wrong people that are doing stuff for the community, and allow people that are bullshitters. I hear it go with the curse word.
No, you good. We adults in here. Yeah.
That are bullshitters and liars to have these huge platforms. They do nada to them until they self-sabotage themselves.
Right.
But they will turn around and not just Nipsey, because last year we saw Tentacion change the way he was acting, because he started seeing what was coming from the positivity, and then again we have people that just want to take something as simple as money in a car and just don't want to work for stuff, man.
Right. Well, and somebody asked, they said, what kind of store was it? Well, the actual store that I believe he was shot at was the clothing store that he had, but he had so much more property down there. Like, people don't understand that this is not the death of just a rapper, right? This is not your RIPs and then everybody moves on to the next. They play his music for a minute, then they move on to the next. This is not that. This is, like, not to make comparisons, but I can tell you that feeling that I had in my stomach when I heard that he passed away, because I was talking to Epic on the phone like after it happened. The feeling I had in my stomach was so similar to when I had when I was in middle school and I heard that Tupac died, because of the community impact this guy had. This brilliant entrepreneur and real estate mogul. Because he was buying so much property out there in Crenshaw, and he didn't just have just a clothing store, right? He had a stretch of land where he bought he created a barbershop, and he named it after one of his homies that got killed in the streets. He had a food restaurant in the area. He also had a store that had like essential like body hygiene type stuff like deodorant or colognes and t-shirts and pro clubs. So it was like a one-stop shop to keep the community, to keep the money within the community. And he employed so many.
Back. That's what
he's
you
buying
want
the block
from a
back.
brother.
Exactly. And he bought that and recycled. He just recycled the money and basically employed people in the community. So when you see this news, if you're younger, maybe you don't understand because you're not from out here. Like obviously, where are you based out of? If people don't know,
Atlanta.
If you don't know, like his impact goes across because aside from just the music, aside from what he did in the community, which I mean that's a huge thing. Think about his impact in other arenas. Like Gary Vee brought him on his platform to talk about his ideas because he looked at him as a fellow entrepreneur. Look on Gary Vee's posts. He's feeling the impact of that too. There's a reason why you got everybody from LeBron James to just all these different people that it's not just sports music and folks that are, it's everybody to a certain degree. And aside from all that, as a father myself, as a husband, I cannot even imagine what Lauren London's going through and what his kids are going through, because that's what matters at the end of the day. When we sign off here, when we get off the internet, this is still real for them. But Av, you were talking about that you had an opportunity to meet with them.
Yeah, I had an opportunity to see Nipsey Hussle in his come up at the time, like back in like 2009. We had performed at SOBs, and SOBs, for those people that haven't been to New York City, is a prime spot for new artists to come up and have a platform to perform for a huge audience, and just to have your music curate for Hot 97, which is the mecca of hip hop, R&B, and a lot of people don't understand that, I guess. But like, Nipsey, me and Nipsey and whatnot, we was having a really bad day. Like it was like a really bad day. I had flew that morning. I was late for the plane ride. I almost missed the plane.
Wow.
And we had gotten to town, rode the limo, trying to do things, doing it big in New York City. It was just like just one of those days, groggy, and but we had a sound check, a 1 minute sound check.
Wow.
A 1 minute sound check. They didn't want us to touch anything, move anything. I was DJing at the time, so that's just wow. But
right.
DJ, and they want me to touch the turntables that they had set up for another band, which was obviously, Be Real's band. Shout out to Be Real, by the way.
Be Real, man.
A real dude, by the way. He's a real one.
Definitely.
So, Be Real was the main act, and they gave my group, which is an R&B group called Deuce and Ville, and spot number one. So we was the opener.
Wow.
But then like maybe 5 or 10 minutes we had to change, and they gave Nipsey the second slot. Like we was already just bad luck. 1 minute sound check, and then we had to go back to the hotel room and get changed. Like there's no preparation. Ebro was real dope though. He's solid. Like a lot of people don't give that man credit for being solid, but he's real solid. He actually cares about the new artists, and it's very rare that a lot of these radio personalities actually care about a new act coming up. They usually clown us. Oh, you'll be gone. You'll be gone next week.
Right, but I think I'm glad you brought that up, because Ebro is a type where he knows, he calls himself Old Man Ebro on his Twitter. Like he knows he's the old head. But what I love about his approach is that other old heads won't look at him like, man, you went out like a sucker when you interviewed Lil Uzi Vert. No, he's gonna say the same things he would say if you were his nephew. Oh, you rap, nephew? Okay, what you? Let me throw this beat on, rap. And he's like, well, I don't. Nephew's like, I don't do that. Like I'm a rock star. Like these are the same interactions you would see anyways. But at least he's asking questions. At least he's asking them like, what is your influences, and not the stuff that's the typical questions. Where are you from? What you got coming out? When does it drop? What label you on? All right, cool. Peace out. That to me is more disrespect.
IG, who you disrespect on there, goofy stuff.
I see you got beef with so and so. How did that? Like that to me is more disrespectful, and you see that more often. That's more disrespectful to somebody's story to give them these same questions that that anybody could basically answer.
Right.
Yeah, but I know people are, you know, like I said, I wanted to make sure we definitely left time for that, and I appreciate you for the conversation we had before, because I needed that more so than anybody else. Because like I said, this morning, man, I had to peel myself off of the couch. Last night, I took a long drive. My wife, thank God, she was there, and my son, man, I'm gonna pick my son up, and I don't know what kids can sense, but he knew Pops was going through it, and felt like I just had all the air and energy taken out of my system, and he smiled at me, touched my face. All that was all I had to see. But now we have to continue the work that I feel like that Nipsey represented, and that you got to look at it this way too, guys, is that his stores, he would hire local artists to be the cashiers. He would hire local artists to be there. So he kept not only within his own community he came from, but within the own music community too. And aside from that, the transition here, our music community, you guys, I'm sure there's a lot of you in here that are familiar with AVE MCREE, but for those of you that are not, AVE, what can you tell them about your YouTube channel? What can you tell them about what you represent that maybe they don't know about?
Well, the whole mission of my channel basically was to do what a lot of stuff wasn't cool to do back in the day. That was to share secrets and tell people different techniques or whatnot of how musicians approach theory and how they create and stuff like that. And I just do like tutorials and then, you know, other things, of course, talking about like what makes a good plugin and just like real life stuff. It's right. Practically the same as the same thing now, because it's very common to see tutorial videos now. Only other person that I thought of that was doing tutorials and stuff like that was Busy.
Yeah.
You know, and we all see where Busy's at now. And shout out to that brother. I'm very proud of you, my brother.
Yeah. And I know that the initial reaction to seeing both of our faces here was of surprise, and we got to talk about the elephant in the room. We've already talked about it beforehand, but I want people to see an example of two YouTube content creators that you know, I was introduced to AVE MCREE through probably the most unorthodox way that you could be introduced to somebody. And for, you know, initially, okay, so here's what happened. So I made the video. You guys know, you probably tired of me talking about it, but I made the video about pirating FL Studio. That video is getting ready to be, you know, really close to 1 million views. I'm not proud of that. That's like, I wish it was my video about
move ever. I should have did that when they did that to me.
Man, so that happened to you as well. When they reached out to you? Yeah.
It should happen to everybody on this platform. If somebody's gonna get on here and talk about stuff and want to act legit, you best to be legit then, goddamn.
Yes.
Because we always talk about how we don't want somebody to take our beats, and how we are worth the money, and you should pay us and all that stuff for our production. But to turn around and have like pirated software, even if it's like one pirated plugin, it is taboo in its own, and it just looks like a contradiction to whatever we even talk about. It's like, absolutely, we're not supporting them. They create stuff. Software development is not a throwaway type thing. Like this, like software gets developed over years. Like FL has been around for like 20 years. Obviously FL 20, but like they have worked on this product for 20 years. Very fair model, by the way, because no other DAW will give you free updates after you pay for a
lifetime. Yeah, and you just brought up something that made me almost feel embarrassed for some of our peers. It takes years and years to create a program like this, years and years to upgrade it, just so they can jump on a Genius Behind the Beat video and say, yeah, it took me 10 minutes to make this beat. Right. The disrespect. But let me go back to the original, the purpose of why I'm taking everybody here is that I made that video, and then obviously, you know, that it became a huge talking piece within the community. I remember that was one of my first introductions to MG the Future's content, and he made a video about it, and he really came from the perspective of, it looks bad upon his brand, but I feel like he'll recover from it. And then I found a video from AVE MCREE. No, somebody actually left a comment. No, they left a comment on me. They left a comment and they said, yo, you got to check this out, bro. They clowning the hell out of you. And I was like, oh, here we go. Because I was already like on call for anybody throwing shots, because it's funny when things like that happen, you start to notice that some people, and I'm not saying this is you or even like your fellas or whatnot, but some people wait for a moment of vulnerability to show you how they really feel. And so I started seeing people who were like, you damn thief, that all you black people are the same. And I'm like, yo, I like gave you advice. Like, yo, where does this energy coming from?
Section, when I had a Team Air plug-in, you're like, what about old videos? Boy,
Right.
Nigger.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They don't. Oh, yeah. There's a hard R. And I'm like, yo, where? Like 2 minutes ago, it was Kumbaya, and we all love to make music, and we here. But when I saw that, it opened my eyes. But I say this: somebody told me to come check out the video, and I sat there. I remember sitting in the living room. And we had our 1-bedroom apartment. I'm sitting up here watching the video, and then like it was a mixed reaction from, oh, that is funny as hell. Like I'm cracking up with y'all, like I'm in the room, because it was like a podcast with you, and then like a bunch of like I'm assuming producer homies.
Yeah, Judah and King David and somebody TB.
Okay.
Was there. They gave me the idea, and I'm giving it to you guys for podcast. So
okay.
Shout out to them.
Shout out to them. Yeah. So I'm watching the video, and like it to me, it reminded me of the days where it was me and the homies, and like anybody who has homies that will tell you about yourself, like if you do, it's a blessing to have friends that tell you about yourself, and that you can't front in front of. Like they're not here to lie to you. They'll tell you the truth. Like bro, them shoes are ugly as hell. You need friends like that. and so I'm used to that energy. And so when I watched it, I felt that same thing, but then I started seeing like some of the comments, and I'm a human being. Even though I got a tough skin, I'm a human being. And a lot of my tough skin was developed during that time period with the FL Studio thing. But after I watched it, I didn't so much have an issue with the things that were being said as much as I had an issue with who was being said in front of. Because then I started seeing another energy come that was like, well, if these guys, the dark energy that's like, well, if these guys can talk about each other, why can't I talk about them too? And then we'll come to my channel with that energy, and it was like, I don't even know you, and from the generation I come from, like that's words you got to see somebody off of. And
imagine what DJ Academics feels about his comment section, because boy,
oh man, they every day they question the man's manhood, they question his
weight.
His weight is, and that's why he don't show his face most of the time on his own channel. He just does like the gifts. But I saw that, and I saw that in fact it happened in front of what I like to call mixed company, because some people are here in support of, some people just want to see us tear each other down, and for their own motives or whatnot. But then when I saw that, I was just like, okay, I wish that if there was something like this happening, if you would have reached out to me and be like, yo, come on this platform, we want to like lay it all out, and we want to and we gonna clown you.
I did it in the wrong area. I did it right in your response to the people, because I didn't, because you had did another video on it, and I'm like, yeah, I was like, he's doing the right things. Like he's doubling down on the content. I'm thinking of it as in, how you get your views up and stuff like that. But I wasn't realizing, like, damn, like this dude's really spilling his heart. You know what I'm saying? He's mad as a mug, like. And
y'all was over here looping. Y'all was over here looping the beginning. I was like, oh man, he's like, y'all made me question that part where I said, I got my hands caught in the cookie jar. I was like, that's the corniest thing I could have said, and y'all over here looping that, bro. I was so embarrassed. I like you. Fam, I was so embarrassed watching my own video back again. Like every time I see that now, I cringe because of how hard y'all went, and y'all looped it around, and I was like, oh, what did I say? I got my hands caught. Because bro, as a YouTuber, like sometimes you say things where it's like, I don't know what it is, but your brain goes to, let me go through the database and find some cliches. And you say something like, I wouldn't even say that in normal conversation. How did that even come up? And so when I said that and y'all looped it, he said, I got my hands caught in the cookie jar. And I was like, oh God, I'm so trash for that. I'm so trash for that. But that was my thing. And then from there, I think that's where I made the mistake of assuming like, I didn't watch any other videos. Like I would watch videos from here and there, especially if we were covering some of the same plugins, to kind of see if there was things that you saw differently about it and whatnot. And I would do that for a lot of people within the community, just kind of like MG the Future. I would glance over videos. I'm just not a guy that spends a lot of time on YouTube like that.
We don't have that luxury because we got to create the content.
Yeah, true. And I wasn't saying that as a shot. I was saying it as if I just came into this game with tunnel vision and said, I gotta I have to get away from the industry first of all, and I have to build something up so strong that the industry's going to come calling me.
Right.
And so that was my main plan. But what I didn't realize is that it is important to build a solid relationships, solid friendships, and then also too to support people that look like you, to support people who from their video content you can tell they have the same intentions to see the culture move in the same way or move to a certain destination. And if we can reach across one another's platform and be of assistance, that's what we should be doing. That's, to me, you want to talk about living on the marathon that Nipsey stood for. To me, that's what that marathon is all about.
Absolutely.
You don't hear him having all these beefs with other rappers. You don't hear that. Why? Because they knew how he moved. I tell you this is a story I probably wasn't expecting to share publicly, but I met him the first time because I've seen him perform twice. I met him a few different times, but the second time I met him was at the actual Paid Dudes Festival. And he came in, and I didn't know he was late for his show, but he came in and he walked straight to his tent, and I tapped him like at first I was like, "Yo, Nipsey!" Like I had just seen him on my birthday for the live stream. Tapped him like, "Yo, Nipsey!" And then he didn't. He kept going straight forward. He was focused, and then I tapped his shoulder, and one of his bodyguards popped up on me and said, "What's up? What's up? What you need? You need that?" I'm like, "Yo." At the time, I had like my Sinbad shirt. I was like going through my whole branding thing, and I looked like Sinbad. I was like, bro, I'm the last person that need any issues with any of y'all. But I just wanted to say hello, and so I just left it alone. But
I wonder if that was DeRoe, because DeRoe is he's a real one. He always is with Nipsey, and he does a lot of the well, I don't want to put. He's a positive brother, by the way.
Yeah.
You know,
but he's a no nonsense.
Does the dirt work so that Nipsey don't get in trouble. You know what I mean?
And that's what I
feel. Nipsey will do his own thing.
Yeah, and that's what I felt it was. It was that you're protecting somebody who means so much to your daily livelihood. I wouldn't expect any less. It was just something where I saw that and I was like, nah, like you can't just yeah, because he was in my face and I was like, yo, it just happened so fast. I was like, I'm gonna go back over here and watch the show because I thought we was like cool and I didn't know. Okay, but then it's funny because when he did the $100 album, it inspired me as an independent artist to be like, yeah, why are we selling stuff for 99 cents, selling songs for why aren't we selling products for $100? Are we ever gonna be able to have that besides a sweatshirt, t-shirt combo, hat, hoodie, combination? And then I said, you know what, I'm gonna make $100 game box. I remember Respect Magazine covered it, and he liked it. And then I hit his DM, and I was like, brother, real shit, you inspired me to ask for more and to seek ownership. So if we haven't said it enough, we'll continue to say long live Nipsey Hussle. But what got you into YouTube to begin with? I'm curious to know. So you said like you came from a generation where sharing the information wasn't a cool thing to do. How do you break from that and decide I'm going to do that and then do it the way that you do it, right? Because I feel like you're one of the few producers that get in front of a camera and have no problem showing your sense of humor.
Right. This was another thing too. Like I was thinking about it while you was talking.
Right.
Like one of the biggest reasons why I get into this space was we don't get that much light at all. Like music producers are really talented. Right. You look at cats like Tendo, which he's getting a lot of that people are actually realizing how extra talented he is yet again.
Yeah.
But we don't get like a good spotlight on us. You know, it's usually we get the credit or we don't get the credit on the album. We don't get the liner notes. And then, of course, with albums not looking like these anymore.
What's that? You better put that in a museum.
You don't get the beautiful liner notes, and that's the thing that I really appreciate with a lot of things. Another reason why I like a channel is that you cover content about artwork, because a lot of people don't understand like graphic arts is art. I look at graphic art like production,
right?
But the fact we don't really get that light, like music producers don't get light, and we don't have a platform to where we can express ourselves. And that kind of is re-engineering the game a bit when we have like producers actually come on the platform and show, hey, well, we have a personality too. Like we're just as important as the artist that is rapping on the track, as important as the damn auto-tune that they're using.
Right.
But like we think about stuff like that. Like YouTube has opened up a platform for many different people. Like I see people with puppets and stuff like that. Shout out to my brother over there that does the puppetry and the music production, because he's actually doing a lot too as well. Stefan,
okay.
But like he like people are doing like puppetry. Like you got people that, you know, they might do shoes and talk about shoes and stuff like that. Like YouTube is giving a platform, and
to talk about whatever it is you want to talk about. You can do that now.
Right. And that's the biggest thing. Like, I hope for this generation, the generation's coming up, because, you know, I look at my son, I'm like, hey, man, you got me. I know how to do it. Hey, what you need, you know, I got this, man. Don't be lazy about it, because now you can jump on Twitch and just play video games, and hell, that's a hell of a job, especially if you get it popping.
Yeah.
You know?
That's what I love about this space too. And I'm right there with you, is that this is the space for, you know, especially when you have been a producer that has gone through the industry. And I want to talk about some of your credits too, because I was unfamiliar about the credits that you had, and just how ingrained you are in the culture of Atlanta hip hop. When I came into here, it was a rebellious energy, but it was a positive energy, if that makes sense. It was rebellious and it was positive, because I'm coming from an industry where everything that you wanted to do, you want to eat, you want to talk to somebody, you want to get paid, you always had to talk to a middleman. Right. Somebody always had to dictate when you could basically take care of yourself within that infrastructure, if you didn't have any, for lack of a better term, clout. And so when I got away from there, not only did I find my freedom, but I found that I can do whatever the hell I want here, and nobody's going to put a stop to it. I mean, obviously YouTube has its own rules in terms of language and content and things like that. But at the time, it was like community guidelines that, it's getting more dangerous now, because of, you know, how much control now the commentary can have upon your channel. That's a whole nother topic. But I got into the space because I was like, look, I'm tired of I'm tired of emailing people. I'm tired of getting in a studio with people who, you know, the whole studio is smoked out. I don't smoke like that. Everybody drunk. And I'm sitting up here like, when are we going to work? And not to make it like that's every studio session, but you go to enough of those, it'll drain you, especially when you travel. And I was living out in like San Bernardino, traveling to LA. And if you don't know, that's like for those that don't know, it's like an hour and a half, 2-hour drive there. And then coming back home, it may be a 3-hour drive with traffic. I got to the point where I was like,
California. Oh my God. God bless y'all souls. I get mad at 30-minute drives.
Bro, that's why I love what y'all have out there with Atlanta, and the fact that there's only so many studios, and then when in those studios is a great chance that you're going to be walking past somebody, or even have the opportunity to bump shoulders with somebody within a studio, and it's like, oh yeah, so and so in the next studio with these 3 Grammy-winning producers. You know what I'm saying? Right. That culture is something that, you know, because of where LA is, because LA is not a music capital first, it's a movie capital. That's something I had to understand too. In that New York is really more so a music capital before it is, 'cause that's where they have all the Breakfast Club and all these different places like that. Right. But yeah, man, that traveling was not cool. So then, okay, long story short, I came to YouTube because I was like, I want to give information that they made locked away in some kind of safe, and they made it so hard for me to get to. And when I finally learned it, I was like, y'all couldn't tell me this? Really? I'm about to go over here and I'm about to teach them stuff that wasn't taught to me, so that we can make sure and ensure the next generation of producers will be even stronger and better than us. That was my energy coming into it. So I'm glad that you brought that up. So with your channel and the growth of your channel, what do you think has been the biggest how can I put this? What do you think has been the biggest influence in the growth of your channel?
Well, definitely, I realized how powerful YouTube was when, like, we was at A3C and I met Pain One for the first time, and me and Pain One had good dialogue and stuff like that. I'm like, man, it feels good to meet people that are real. You know what I'm saying? And that they are who they are on their channel. They're not playing, they're not playing any games. But shit got real when like Manny Fresh came up to me, and I've never known Manny Fresh ever. And Manny Fresh is like, hey man, He's like, I love when you do reviews, especially when you be clowning and stuff. I'm like, what? Like that was like, bro, do you know how much of a fan I've been of your production and stuff like that, and stuff like. He's like, man, I appreciate you, man. He's like, keep doing you, and that changed me a lot because I'm proud of you. Right. And I heard that, and I'm like, damn, like,
how did that feel? How did that feel to get that from somebody like a Manny Fresh?
That felt really good. Like that's just like, you know, I'm sitting there thinking, you know, and that was in between, like, man, my channel's not really growing, you know. I see, you know, sometimes we always compare ourselves to others, and that's the worst thing you could do.
Yeah,
you
for
compare
sure.
yourself, your growth as a human being to like what everybody else's success is, and you have your own path. Like you carve it the way you do. You're supposed to get up every morning and have an agenda to go hard at what you do, and know that whatever you put out is going to come back 10 times fold. You know, whatever you put out, good, positive energy, negative. But yeah, it just felt good that, you know, that we're in a different landscape where people actually have that type of respect. Same thing with Fat Boy. Fat Boy is a producer that does stuff with Gucci Mane and like NBA Young Boy, and you know, he's like reaching out and hollering at me and say, hey man, you know, you want to work on this product, and shout Fat Boy, please holler at me when you get back from LA.
Super dope.
Like, you know, this platform is actually really powerful. Like a lot of people do reach out to you, and you know, conversations that you have talking to a lot of the greats that we all need to know, like Leslie Brathwaite. You know, Leslie Brathwaite is a humongous engineer that has worked with Pharrell, Little Uzi, for all you youngsters. He mixed XR Tour Life, by the way.
Oh wow.
And from Cher, that Do You Believe in Love? Remember that joint when that was big?
Right. Oh, that's a huge record.
Right.
Do you believe in love?
Yeah, and y'all might clown me, but I love that record.
Not to clown me then too, because I love that record too when it was out, and I couldn't tell Pops that because Pops was like, it was two records that I loved around that time. It was that one. It was and he just passed away too. Dude from Prodigy. I'm a fire starter, twisted fire starter. I used to play it. Like I remember one time I was watching a video and Pops came in from work, and I was living in an apartment. And he came, sat next to me, and he looked at the video, and he looked at me, looked at the video, and he looked at me, and he was like, "What are you watching?" And I said, and I was like, "I like them. It's Prodigy. Like they're dope." And he was like, "You don't like them?" And I was like, "Oh." He's like, "That's like some devil stuff." And I turned it off, and I was like, man, I still like them. but no, it's crazy. It's crazy to see it all come full circle, and it's crazy to see, you know, that people don't realize that we are still music listeners, even though we're still music contributors and we're music producers. We are still, we're still listeners of a bunch of different things, which is probably the reason why you do have a sense of humor that's like different from other producers. How important do you feel like, and maybe this is more so a personal question than anything else, but how important do you feel like your sense of humor has been to your success in terms of separating yourself from everybody else?
I think it's important to have like, I guess what you call like dynamic, I guess.
Right.
Because you sit there, like one of my favorite channels, and of course me and him talk. He's hiding right now, and I'm glad. And you know, this is what a lot of people don't understand. YouTube will burn you the hell out if you go too hard. And I need a vacation, but
I feel you.
Right. But Bass Gunner, like I was sitting there watching Bass, I'm like, man, this dude is hilarious. Like he just does all this stuff, and then just looking at like all of what he does, editing, not just his music being dope, but the way he edits his videos and stuff like that. I'm like, man, this dude really goes in like all the way. He's balls to the wall, and then he doesn't care, but he's funny as hell. You know what I'm saying? It's
right.
Like, and you know, I always love like, even though people don't like, there's people that don't like Kevin Hart. I like Kevin Hart. He's funny.
Right.
I watch a lot of stand-up comedy.
Isn't it crazy that we have to like preface things that we like now because of the influence that culture has on it? Like we can't like what we want to like anymore without there being some kind of controversy involved.
Oh, I don't even care if people don't like me if because I like Kevin Hart.
That's crazy. That's what I'm saying. Maybe I feel like sometimes I'm in the Matrix. Maybe I'm just sometimes in the wrong place. But I'm like, wasn't that the point of comedy? Was to not just make you laugh, but also make you uncomfortable and laugh. Like that's the part of what made like geniuses like Richard Pryor. That's what made them so genius, was that they would sit in a room full of people that did not look like him and say some stuff to make him feel uncomfortable, and then 2 minutes later have them crying in laughter. That's part of the genius of it. But I'm glad that you brought up Kevin Hart and whatnot. But I gotta say, I appreciate it from looking at your content. You know, I think all of us need that break in it, man, because so many people get in front of a plug-in review and they say, this is the left knob, this is the right knob, and this is the velocity,
parameter.
This is the parameter, and what it does is it loops around, and
that's not a review either. That's you teaching somebody how to use a review. Is you giving your taste, your opinion of what this works, and some of the technical stuff, but you got to give a humble. That's why people tune into a review, is to get a personal intake of stuff. And that's why when you do stuff that I understand, like doing overly positive stuff will net you a better worth from, but you have to have some stuff in it. It's like this other dude that's coming up, White Sea Studios, but he has the thing called Snake Oil. And a lot of people don't understand. Like somebody asked me, like, why is this dude popping up? But I was like, because he's brutally honest. And when he does a review, he's going in on things that he likes in personal preference as well as his experience or lack thereof. So,
Yeah, and that's, I think, maybe we could talk about that as well, is that when it comes to plugin reviews, people are like, you can't possibly like all these plugins. What they don't understand is how many plugin companies I say no to.
Right.
Oh
God, yes.
Like I'm not gonna put them out there like that, because it's just not my, like I like the producer that's behind this plugin, but the plugin was trash. And I didn't have a direct connect with him, and if I did, I would tell him that the same way. But this company came to me and wanted me to do a review on the plugin, and I was just like, nah, like this it felt like
say this, chef.
No, it felt like Baby Nexus. But only with like the worst of the stock sounds. It was like there was no care on the developer's end that went into it. It was just like it was a producer that came in and said, I want to do a VST, and then they were like, okay, cool, we got you. Like, what do you want to do? I just want to add these sounds. Cool. And do you have any other input? No, y'all just go and do whatever you want to do. That's what it felt like. And so when I sat there and messed around with it, I was like, I'm not even gonna waste your time. I know you guys are willing to pay me, but I can't do this review because I don't believe in it, and I can't lie to my audience on this. So I only do videos about the plugins and the hardware that I actually like and believe. However,
or you could do the review and then just be like, not the review. This video is sponsored by such
and such, there you go.
And this is the plugin right here. It's like 1 minute long.
See, I can't do those because then that mess up my YouTube watch time. I can't do that because I'm like, the YouTube watch time I get jacked up. So I only, if I don't believe, like I tell you this, I had I've been going hard for DistroKid because I actually did research and I believe in it. And I love the features they put on there, because even though it looks simplistic on the back end, it's everything that you need in order to split money with other artists, other producers.
Way better than having a record deal. And I'm glad when you did it, I was like, man. But there was people out there that did take money and that didn't say they were sponsored. And I was just like, but I went. What it was is my homies at MX6 Audio had they was like, man, you should check out DistroKid. He's like, nah, for real. And when he told me, I was like, man, okay, I'm gonna check it out. And I was like, what? Wait a minute, 20? No, and I gotta give Mr. Different his credit too.
Sure.
I want Mr. Different today because he did tell you, so yeah, bruh. He's like $20 a year, and I was like, nah, why not CD Baby? And I was like, then I realized, one, you don't have to have no ASCAP, BMI, all that mess. Yep. So they ain't got to they'll not pay you, and they probably getting paid.
Right.
You get yours. No matter what. All you need is a PayPal account.
And they pay you, and especially their affiliate program, man. Like they have been I'll tell you this, they've been a blessing every month to the point where they've been signs.
It's solid.
It's solid, and the thing is that their customer service, like, That's one of my pet peeves, and I'm sure you get this too on a regular basis, where you'll do a review of a product and then your subscribers hit you up about like frequently asked questions or Googleable questions or stuff they can hit up the plugin about. They'll ask you, why doesn't this work?
Answered in the video.
Thank you. Oh Lord. Oh, speak about that. And sort of what have been some of the things that have kind of irritated you? I mean, obviously everything can't be all positive. It ain't all positive with me all the time. Right. What have been some of the things of the culture of being a YouTuber, a music producer, YouTuber in this space? What have been some of the things that you sort of that you dislike? What kind of things do you not like?
People that are obvious shit starters in the comment section. I don't like those folks. But you know, I got some good advice from Busy Work. You know what I mean, no other better person to tell you to ignore the haters than that guy, right? Yeah. So
for
like,
real.
he's like, man, because I was talking about somebody that commented and their comment got like a bajillion likes on it, and I'm like, whoa,
yeah,
that just like burns me.
Because what does that say to you when you see a comment that is like something that could be even, you can look at it like that's almost disrespectful, and you see it have like 20 likes? What does that say to you when you see that?
Like, it just says to me, like, sometimes people just really want attention, and they don't want to do what we do, which takes a lot of work and time and dedication, and actually give like a good argument to it. Because anybody can have an opinion, but it just sounds better when you have the real experience behind it. And you know, it was all about, like, somebody was saying, "Oh, you're not supposed to put Maximus on your kick. You don't never. It's only for your master chain." I'm like, bruh, first of all, you have multi-band compressors on almost every single synthesizer that's worth a damn.
Right.
You have multi-band compressors on different aspects of everything. Right. Like, you're not gonna tell me that. I was like, first of all, there ain't no rules to this anyway.
Thank you. Like, that's the biggest thing right there. Yeah.
Like, everybody has their own thing. I can go to different engineers of any kind, and they're gonna mix tracks differently. You know what I'm saying? But they're preferred because of the way that they mix. People like it, so that is why. And if you ask any professional, any real professional that does it, they're gonna tell you now, of course, there's technical aspects. Like, you're not gonna freaking have a kick that's hitting in the red a bajillion times high, and then the melody all the way down, and that might be the next wave, anyways. Well, listen to this shit real loud.
I'm gonna say you opened up something else too. That's something I always bring his name up because we talk every day. But the homie Epic was saying, like, there's rules that can be broken, and there's laws, and there's certain laws that if you want to accomplish a certain sound, everybody has been agreed upon. This is what you do. Like, if you want to hear a singer clearly, you can't have massive distortion on the 808s that bleed all the frequencies that make up the parts of what we hear as a harmonic representation of the voice. It's just not. That's just a law, right? And somebody's like, I can do it. I just did it last week, bro. Every time I hear that kind of energy you're talking about, they leave the comment like, you can't put Maximus on a kick, I go listen to the beat. And 9 times out of 10, where am I going with this? 9 times out of 10, Av, I listen to their beats and I'm like,
trash. Your buttons.
But I don't want your beats. Like, I don't want your style of beats. Why are you giving me advice? Like, not to say that
about them 100 views, nobody else wants them.
Thank God.
Because your video's been on here for 8 years.
8 years with 100
people care about.
You got more likes on the comment that you left about Maximus than you got on your actual videos with your beats. Like, my thing is, I don't have such an ego where I can't be told how to do something better. Right. And I'm always a student. I'm forever a student. No matter how many times I do videos and it seems like I got all the life advice, I'm learning. This is why I have so much content. Curtis, why do you not run out of content? Because I'm always reading. I always need something else, and I'm always trying to fulfill something else within me, and so I have information to share. But I look at some of these dudes, man, and this is where it becomes dangerous that some people don't have a profile picture because they come to your page, they say, like, they try to position themselves as some kind of expert. They position themselves as some kind of know-it-all, and then you listen to the stuff, and it's like, okay, well, I'm expecting you got fired because you sound like you know what you mean. You go listen to the beats, and it's like, But your kick don't hit like mine, though. Like, and I like my kick. Like, what's up with you?
Well, first off, why are you in this video in the first goddamn place if you don't need that type of advice? Like,
because you got too much time on your hands. People ain't watching your videos, so you got to come to where that people are at. And I think that's a bigger compliment and something that I'm learning to take more, be more empathetic for it. Because I'm like, I'm ready for the clapback. And I think a lot of my folks in my audience, they're used to Curtis being like nice. Kumbaya, nice, and I'm not going to say anything back. But if you give me a certain energy, especially in a space where I feel like I'm very personable with people, like YouTube can get kind of ridiculous sometimes. I try to go on really great sprees where I just respond back to as many comments as I can. But on my Instagram, it's a more personal experience. I'm showing you my son and my wife, and I see people come on a picture of my son, and they leave a comment of hey bro, I need your advice on this distro kid, or I need you to listen to my beats. Yo, do my beats hit? And I'm like, that tone deafness to where you're at and how you, to me, it shows somebody that only gives a damn about themselves. And when I see that kind of stuff, it makes me want to clap back or say something. Or didn't you say something like outlandish stuff like about a video that you didn't agree with, and you're trying to have a lo-fi argument with me when I have a picture of me and my wife anniversary.
Or they'll have an argument with you or say something disrespectful to you, and then they'll be in your DMs like trying to play like the friend, like as if like,
yo, no hate, bro. I'm just there is no connection after this. I think some people feel like, well, how do I get to an AVE MCREE if he responds every once in a while, or he responds to me, but I can't get an end here. How do I get to him in a more personable way? I insult him. So if I insult you and you're engaging me, now you remember me. Now I stand out amongst everybody else. Now we got some kind of rapport, and I think that's how some people think they can build rapport. And sometimes that works for some people. I think there's certain people in our space who they get aggressive with somebody, and they're like, you're like me. I respect that. Thank you for calling me on my stuff. Now we can be friends. I'm not that person. And so I had a dude that he put up a comment about how AI technology is getting ready to take over producers' businesses and how producers are going to get replaced by AI technology. And
I think a lot of I sorry, but I've been
What is your thought on that too?
MG the Future, and I had to co-sign him on a lot of stuff that he says. Like I do think that AI is definitely very much a threat if they go any further with it. There is something that I'm beta testing right now. I can't talk about it, NDA and stuff, but like it's really good. Like it's like I'm like, damn, like I can hook this program up to FL Studio and have a full-on great sounding track in any style, period. And people won't know if I did it or not. And this is like, I've been kind of going to studios and just sitting there, and they'd be like, what is that? And I'm like, well, don't worry about that.
Don't even worry about it. It's none of your business, man. But you know what? I look at it as is that. And
I don't think it's going to take every producer's job. I think it's going to take.
Heck no.
Like, it is on top of that, it's also going to add to the producers or just a musician that already knows these things. Like, if you know how a scale works, and then on top of that, it teaches you the scale right then and there. So, you know, you can grab your guitar and you know, if you know your basic scales on your guitar, you can jam with that, and then you can replace one part of the MIDI and have somebody with the breath. Man, it's going to actually evolutionize a lot of music.
Right.
But what I'm actually scared about is what kind of just happened with Atlantic. They signed a algorithm.
Yeah, I saw that. That's crazy. That can basically look for the next whoever.
To me, that made me feel like, now if they're signing algorithms and we already have this right here, they're going to start looking for, I think this is already happening too behind the scenes, just not trying to go and get myself into trouble. But I think a lot of developers, they're actually starting to cater towards, like, because they want to sign people that are creative at all aspects. So it's making me wonder, like, man, I need to get back into writing software more, and I need to learn how to do AI, because if it does go any further, we all get hit with Skynet.
Yeah, because I think that's where people immediately go there and don't realize that everything has to go through a transformation, and no matter what industry you're in. Here's my perspective that I take with it: that if we weren't producers, say we were all plumbers, and they developed a machine that could walk into your house unclog your toilet, or toilets that can unclog themselves. What happens to plumbers? Do the plumbers
not
not
dead by the time that I'm not saying, and I don't want to say thank God to
no,
that.
yeah, no, I
I
understand.
think our time will pass by the time that I hope, because I don't want to see no damn be right beside a person, a robot that's gonna have a full conversation with me and could carry me and it be on some iRobot stuff. But.
Yeah. But I mean, I don't worry about it because I look at it like this. I look at it as, somebody had mentioned it earlier too, is that, and I know that they can emulate this as well, but there is a human error is something that we listen to every single day in our favorite songs. Human error is why we fall in love with a song. Human error is the reason why, especially in boom bap, or if you guys want to call, like lo-fi now, it's a reason why we attach to it on a human and a soulful level, because we know that human hands touch that. Now, we know that there are quantization, automation that can make it feel, yeah, right.
Nobody wants to. Everybody's so used to the quantizing
and
trap beats that it's just like that. To me, it sounds robotic. Like, and most of those people are the ones that are complaining. It's like, dude, you don't want me to have any type of soul and velocity, or your keys. That one part, I can't hear that one key. I'm like, dude, that's called velocity.
That's what it's supposed to do.
Keyboard, if that happens, like back in the day, they used to use compressors, and I've tried to teach you about compression and how to use that to counterbalance stuff like that, but you don't understand that concept. And
exactly.
How many times can I teach that? So AI might take your job.
That's what it's funny, because what I was getting to earlier was that's what I told the producer. Like, I wasn't talking to him. I was responding to the person that tagged me. He got in his feelings and responded to me like, no, you're missing the point of this. They're going to take, nobody's going to be able to sell beats online. And I'm like, stop the fear mongering. Like, first of all, it is your job to not only look out for stuff like that. It's good that you're aware of that, but it's your job to readjust. Any business has to learn how to constantly readjust. If you don't know how to constantly readjust, you're gonna be the music warehouse trying to sell CDs when everybody is getting streaming, right? You're gonna be Blockbuster movies when everybody is going to the Red Box, or then they go to Netflix. You have to evolve if you want to be in business.
Beats anyways, like,
that's what I'm saying. Like,
way more people are selling beats now than it was back when. I don't know if you remember this website, rockbattle.com.
Sure. I was on there. We probably battled. Yes, I was on there.
What class, though? What class? I was class of 06.
I was 06, too.
What?
Oh, we definitely crossed paths on there. I didn't even know that. We definitely, bro, I was on there 06 because I was living in Carson at the time. I was there in 06, and I forget names that were on there, but, bro, I was in there, where it tells you your battle's getting ready to happen in this amount of seconds, and then you go in there, and it's like,
right.
That was a good time. That was a good time. But yes, I'm pretty sure we probably definitely crossed paths in there. But I wanted to start to talk about. Let me end that last thought that I had. I basically responded back to this dude, and I told him, I said, with that mentality of doomsday and everything's going to go wrong, and everybody's wrong and you're right. I said, you do have reason to worry. AI technology is going to replace you first. And then he came to me and he was like, damn, I would never expect somebody as positive as you to say that I won't make it. No. You can't be the aggressor and the victim at the same time.
Right,
so then
right.
I start to see that shift within as producers, is that we, as a community, there's so many of us that can be so sensitive to things that we project that on other people. But, I got to say, man, it's beautiful to see when things have happened to you, how that same community has had your back and has been able to help you out. Because you had a situation with Splice. I want to say during the same time when I was actually promoting Splice, I was like, oh man, it was like we all over the place. But what happened with that situation? Because I know you had some issue with your kids as well.
Well,
if you don't mind kind of getting into some of that, I don't want to open up old wounds, but yeah, I know it's important for those who are here.
Well, we kind of good. The guys at Splice are all right. They all right until they put some of my stuff on that on there and get rid of people instead of just profiting off of the mere amount of stuff that they have on there. Like, okay, so the thing with Splice was this: like it wasn't Splice per se. It was Lex Luger. Like Lex gave me a shout out I did not know about. Like people would tell me like, oh man, well, well, Trap Tendo, he got the sauce, and man, these packs are dope, and blah blah blah, whoop, whoop, which was dope. And so I reached out to him and was like, hey man, I asked him personally. Hey, I hit him in the DM. Hey man, could we actually work on something together? And no response. And then fast forward, yo, Al, man, that whole entire kit that you had on your page, yo, he got it, all your stuff in his pack.
Wow.
I'm like, wait a minute. I'm like, wait a minute. No, he don't. Go listen to the demo. I hear sounds that I created, took my time to create because
I've seen you do that in live streams where your sound design, that's something else too. Bro, you are so important from that aspect because there was a time when nobody else out there, if you were using FL Studio, there was literally no videos to show you how to do sound design aside from like a game from BusyWorks. Like people were hiding that because that was part of their business model. You expose that and show people this is how you design a kick. This is it. Right? And you demystified it from scratch, right? You demystified that for a lot of people. So to have that happen to you, you know, I remember seeing some of the videos, and the thing that I saw that was the most telling was that you shared your story, and I want you to continue to tell the story, but your audience, man, they came out in droves and were like, we're gonna get this thing right for you. You ain't even gotta worry about that.
Yeah, and I appreciate them for doing that. And you know, and then on top of that, of course, here comes Native Instruments giving me an opportunity because Splice, you know, I sit there and talk to the guys at Splice, Sam and Max, and met them in person, by the way. And like, you know, we talked about it, squashed it. I guess, you know, I let bygones be good bygones with Lex, you know. You know, it's just he made his money. He made his goo-wop off of there because people do make goo-wop on Splice.
Oh, yes, they do.
Right.
Yes, they do.
and you know, I just let it be bygones, and then I saw, hey, well, Native Instruments got sounds.com, and when in the middle of me and Splice talking, some dude comes over there. I don't like this whole sounds.com thing, man. They're so unoriginal. I'm like, isn't that a contradiction to what these guys are doing? I was like, right. They're taking unoriginal content from other people, putting a producer that's, you know, that is dope. Mind you, I'm not taking away from any of the producers that do get these cosigns from them.
Right.
But yet they don't have the actual skill set to sound design. But you know, hello, like this they have to adjust. Yeah. But Native Instruments is a huge threat because they have dope products that extend to software, and they have hardware, dope machine, like with Machine, which is fire. Right. And you know, they oppose the bigger threat. Mind you, because Loop Masters sits on top of everybody quietly, and they pay in pounds.
In pounds, yeah. it remind me of my plug-in boutique payments, and I'm like, man, how do I convert this, man? What is this?
and then you actually convert that tuck over, you be like,
oh, that's God. What that means. You don't know how many times, for all my UK audience in here, you don't know how many times I have Googled, like, you know, y'all $sign with that amount, and I'm like shaking I got my Birdman hands, like, hold on, what this finna be? And then I see the number, and I'm like, oh, that's how y'all conversion work. Okay, let's run that.
And me as an American, I feel like, well, I can't really say that because I'm originally from Germany, and most people will clown me in.
Wait, what?
Yeah, I'm originally from Germany, but my pops was in the military, so
I'm about to say,
I'm not 100% German. You know,
I was like, what in the 21 Savage we got going on right here? Let me find out.
I have a problem with that too. When people were going, well, you know, it's the internet, and some of it was funny, but people were talking about 21. I'm like, bro, like there's solid people everywhere you go. Like, absolutely, you can go to France on some love stuff. Mind you, that just happened to the Kardashians. Mind you, I'm not glorifying that, but. Right. They got robbed, like Shorty got robbed out there. Like,
she got robbed. She got robbed. Yeah.
They make plays out there too.
Yeah. And especially when you in a new place, you know, I understand the culture of checking in, and I think a lot of folks, especially younger, because you didn't come under the same sort of guidelines and the same sort of this is how you maneuver. Or maybe you're whoever you consider your OGs didn't really share that with you. The culture of checking in applies to so many people, especially when you're when you're somehow attached to the umbrella of hip hop. It's even more important because if folks know that you around, if folks know that you sitting up in here, if they can touch her, And I mean, and even like when I think about with Nipsey, man, like how much he meant, how much he still means.
Wrong one, man. Why?
Like of all the people, man. And I'm not
All
saying
the
that
damn
you should wish that on anybody, but I'm like, of all the people, you get the real estate mogul. You get, and I know, and I don't want to get into conspiracy theories because I feel like
Some of them piss me off too. Some of them
they piss me off too. Because you know what I'm thinking about first and foremost is his children. I think he had a daughter and a son, and his girl, and Lauren London. And I'm thinking about his mom. I'm thinking about his brother. I'm thinking about all these people who lost somebody. They don't give a damn about no conspiracy theory. They lost them. Even if you were able to somehow sit there and make your conspiracy theory video and deduct and say, oh, it's because of this documentary and all that. None of that shit matters to them. Because they still lost somebody.
One thing I like about YouTube now, though, they've toned that stuff down. Like, you just can't just straight up just say, well, like the whole Jay-Z and Beyonce eating babies. Like man,
oh,
like,
Lord, yeah, man,
like
that's a lot of stuff.
This and how they sacrificing people and
lizard eyes
when they're really just moving. What they're doing is making moves to try to better the community.
Yeah,
and y'all just trying to make ties to. It's all bullshit.
It's whack. It's whack. And I know you've seen the lizard eyes, and they try to make it like, oh, this is when they morphed and this. I don't want to hear. I don't want to hear nothing about that. And it's not the fact that it doesn't matter, but it's the fact that look at the bigger picture. People forget the fact that when we lose, and I said that in the Mac Miller tribute video. When we lose an artist, that's all we lose. Like we of course we lose somebody that maybe we did or may not have met, or we have some kind of, connection through what they stood for in their interviews, but that family.
Right.
Like I don't know how many of you have lost somebody close to you. You've lost a girlfriend, or you lost a cousin or a brother, or somebody that you're with every single day, and to lose them, that kind of pain is only, I hope that you can sympathize with that more so than trying to figure out, no, this is, he was shot this way and then he was shot. Look at what the image of it is. And that's what I was talking to Epic of it. Is
pictures of this dude, like straight up
pulling the phones out. Come on, man. Like
dead on the ground. Well, actually he wasn't dead then, but they showed pictures. They was taking pictures of this dude with bullets in him. And I'm like, bro, like I'm telling you, I deleted so many people off my IG because I was like, yo, you're not gonna just sit there and share this. And certain people, before they even knew that, I was like, hey man, like I've actually met this dude, had conversations with him. He's always been solid. He's always been a real one. And like you're just talking about it like it's free here. Oh yeah, he got shot. Yeah, the dudes is blah blah blah. Whoop whoop. Yeah, and I'm like, bro, you haven't went through a lot in your life. I mean, sometimes people went through violence a lot,
right?
And maybe perhaps they it's like niggas die every day, like they feel like that.
Yeah. Or that's the culture that, but you got to think about it. I was talking to my wife about it the other day, and I was like, I'm done listening to music that glorifies. Like I was already done. What glorifies violence, because I always looked at it like you got to keep an ear out as a producer. We feel like we have to keep our ear out to what's going on and see like kind of what the temperature of the music is, who's coming up next. But then I'm thinking about like the situation with, and obviously, we don't know all the details or if he's guilty or not, but Wyan Melly, what is the name? I forget the first part of it, but you guys know in there, type it in. But the dude who, he made a song, I guess, some time way before it actually happened, but he's like accused right now of murdering some of his best friends and driving around, in the car with their bodies. And he has a song that as these publications, these blogs are highlighting the story, they keep replaying a song of his called Murder on My Mind. And he's talking about literally killing a friend of his. Yeah, YNW. He's talking about killing a friend of his, and he's harmonizing about it. And it's so catchy that when you turn it off, it's still in your head. And I'm not even a fan. I don't listen like that. But I'm like, you know what? I'm done. Because at this point, this ain't about broadcasting stories. At this point, we are continuing this cycle by brainwashing. We're brainwashing one another in these situations to believe that. The same way that we could watch a certain YouTuber and listen to the same thing. How many times y'all heard rappers and producers? That is in your mind when you see my face without me even having to say it. And that wasn't purposely done, but it's like that became part of my branding. So I look at these situations, man, and I'm just like, I hope you guys pick up.
Harmful as talking about murdering somebody.
Yeah,
just for the cake of it,
bro. And the song is so catchy, and every time you see, like, every time I see his face pop up in like a meme, they're playing that song in the background, even if it's news playing in front of it. They're playing that song, and I'm like, we gotta realize how detrimental this music becomes when there's no. Like, I remember, and I'm not trying to say like our gangster rap in our generation was better or more responsible, but when these dudes was talking about killing somebody, they gave you a reason. Like 50 Cent would say stuff like, you know, he come shoot up the whole your whole family because he can't come look for you and you did this to his folks, and he gave a rhyme or reason. Now the music is like, I don't even need a rhyme or reason. I just feel like killing somebody. That's dangerous. It was already getting there, but now it's to a point now where it's like, as an adult, as a father, how do I listen to that and then turn around and tell my son, like, nah, you need to do right? But Pops, what are you listening to? So my son he just turned 1, but what is sort of your perspective now as you're looking at things from this perspective?
As a dad,
are you a Pops still? I didn't know that. Are you a Pops?
Yeah. Well, my son, you know, he listens to a whole bunch of these of the newer stuff, so he keeps me hip. Some of it, obviously, I'm not really into it. Some I am, you know. There's some of it I feel like, and I teach him, and I know it's gonna sound like, oh well, you're just giving excuses, but I teach him, man, like, listen, this is just music, it's entertainment, and this ain't you. You know what I'm saying? But how much is that is realistic when somebody that grew up listening to Pac and Big and just many outcasts. I gotta throw my fellas in there.
Man,
Midi
that's
Mob,
my favorite. That's my favorites right there.
And like you listen to like stuff like that. Like this sort of is a reflection of your youth. You feel me?
Yeah.
It is a sort of a reflection of your youth. So there's always that one crazy mofo that might just slip the curb and get into a child's mind and stuff like that. Not me.
Right.
But I'm just saying, like, it can happen to somebody else that might be really out there looking for an answer. You feel me?
Right. Well, I'm glad to see examples of folks like you, fathers now that I know you fellow father. I'm glad to see examples of folks like you out here because, you know, what something else I do enjoy about you is the fact that, you know, you don't have an issue calling out brands, calling out people by name. And I think that there's a lot of sort of subbing going on within some channels or like when I did the video about my 5 channels I think you guys should check out, then all the woodwork, everybody comes out and everybody kind of feels a certain way because I didn't mention their 5. And I'm like, well, isn't that the purpose of tuning into my channel, is because you want to hear my opinion about it, not to make it like, it's not a you should do this, you have to listen to just the guys I mentioned. They feel a certain way. And then I learn there's a certain responsibility about it. But
wait till I do mine.
Oh, please do, man. We
wait till I do mine. I don't even get. You should like listen.
Yeah.
When we do these top 5s and all this stuff, you ain't gonna get everybody that you want in there. And that's exactly what you just got finished saying. Secondly, again, we're just sharing something like that. Now, I was gonna do I'm gonna do a top 5 hardware channels I like and producer tutorial channels and stuff like that. Of course, I got to give honorable mentions to those people that I've talked to, so I can't put you in there or Mr. Different because I talked to Mr. Different or MG. Well, I'll give honorable mentions, but the top 5. But that top 5 about the Sting, a lot of people gonna be like, oh well, I got X amount of subscribers.
So what? You are in, and I think that's crazy. We have to remind people I am entitled to like what the hell I like, and who I like is not a diss to anybody else. And although I think people understand that, I do feel like the people who start this madness up or start this public outrage, quote unquote outrage, you know, people like it's funny, my wife, you know, I'll be walking around the house and like I have my sciatic pain issues or whatever, and people don't know, like I have sciatic issues where when you know, sometimes if I sleep the wrong way or if I've been sitting down in the studio and I don't stretch, I get this pain that shoots down my back down to my leg, and it makes it really hard to walk. And we got stairs up in here, and so like there'll be times where where like I'll be walking a certain way and she be like, oh, you want a cane so bad, don't you? Or you want to be crippled so bad? And I'm like, oh, you trying to humble me right now, huh? I need to hear that in order to like, okay, I'm only 34. Let's get back to it. Let me go to the chiropractor, do whatever I got to do and get this right and get back to work. A lot of youth are not used to that energy. Like I talk to you and I know, I feel like I know, or I can assume that you came up in a generation where you had to have thick skin.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, you can't, like, man, hell, especially when we first touched down here, and I had a strange accent, like just dressed a different way than everybody. Everybody was rocking cross colors and Malcolm X stuff, and I'm over here with a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle shirt.
Yeah, they was ready. They was doing those. They was ready to.
Everybody rocking J's. I got British Knights on. Man, I had to have a slip tongue real quick.
Yeah,
and you know, playing Dirty Dozens and talking about people's mamas and all that was the rave. So, you know, if you did take it that far, you had to have the fisticuff game.
Yeah,
you had to have fisticuffs, and then
right.
but you could fight. Also, you know, you could fight, and then y'all could be friends. Like it's very, a lot of my closest friends that I've been around, we have put hands on each other. But bruh, you don't want to be the outsider coming in and on some bum stuff. Like they're gonna put hands on you as if we are siblings. And hell, like with siblings, y'all might put hands on each other, but they better not say nothing about you. You feel me? But,
I think that's where they get sort of polarized by figures like yourself, or even like myself. When Curtis get a chance, when Dewan speaks, and not Curtis King, when Dewan, that's my government name, when Dewan speaks.
Oh shit.
They like,
oh damn, you got a CRS on them boys, huh?
Bruh. When Dewan with an apostrophe, the one that it was very difficult for me to get a job because they didn't know what I was gonna be when I came in. I was applying to like Electronic Boutique and GameStop and all these places I wanted to work at, and they was like, Dwayne. No, we ain't hiring him. When that comes out and I talk to folks, they're so surprised because they're like, but Curtis, you're so positive. You're so, you know, why are you engaging in this type of stuff? Because I'm a human being, first of all, and second of all, shit ain't all sweet. And I think that we need to see more examples of us being human beings, because I think that you guys sometimes, not, and I'm just talking about to an audience in general, nobody in particular, so don't feel attacked, but sometimes we look at everybody like we're all one brain. We look at everybody like we're all in one body. In a lot of ways, I do understand that sense of community. However, being sensitive to who people really are, you don't realize that if people are always the model of what you want them to be, you can never have a real friendship or a real conversation with them. They will always be a synthetic representation of what you like, but not who they really are. I would rather for AVE MCREE and his buddies to get on that live stream and clown the hell out of me, so that when I finally talk to them, I already know, like, okay, we already put it out there, so let's talk. Like, it's all good there. But if he was like, you know, well, I think Curtis, the video was funny, but I'm proud of him, and that's it. And then you walked away from it, and then when the video stopped, you was like, man, he said, put your hand in the cookie jar. Oh, this fool, he's corny as hell. I would feel like that's fake. Like, I would much rather that energy be out in the forefront, so that me and you can build from where we build at. And that's why I appreciate you, because I feel like you keep that same energy, and no matter what you do, and I can rock with that, because as a man, those are the folks that I'm the best. I'm at my best when I'm able to keep that energy all around and not have to be somebody else. And we know there's a place and time for everything. But before we kind of end this conversation, because I want to make sure it's something that has some replay value. This is great dialogue going back and forth. I want people to get familiar with sort of the origin of the trap Tendo genre. Or the not even genre, but the branding. Where does this come from? Like, why did you land upon this, and what is that all about?
Well, that's pretty easy. Hey, like when we moved out here from when we came to the States,
right.
And my dad said, hey, you know, I'm from Decatur. I'm a Grady baby.
Right.
And this is your home now. You know, basically the trap, basically.
Right.
It was the trap.
Okay.
So there you go. You have it there, and that was before the whole the trap EDM Kool-Aid mess started happening. And you know, I like video games, and my favorite video game system happens to be a Nintendo. By the way, I trademarked Trap Tendo just to make sure that I don't get sued by them.
Yeah, you don't need that. You don't want that smoke with them. I don't want that smoke. I don't want you to have that smoke
I don't
with
want to be
them.
like Soldier Boy. I don't want to be like Soldier Boy and just think I'm gonna sell this and do that and it's whatever.
Yeah,
But
that's dangerous.
so but anyways, yeah, I thought to myself, well, man, people like this trap stuff, even though I think trap is not just hi hats, 808s, and all that. Is I
Right.
come from a different era, the UGKs, the Ghetto Boys, and the trap music existed for a long time, but I like video games, and I thought, hey, well, why not just call myself Trap Tendo? It's
Right.
familiar. People understand certain parts of me, and then they'll understand that, and then we could just go from there. And if you just it'll work very well, roll off the tongue very well.
So what exactly is it for those maybe that's the first time they're hearing? Maybe they saw the name somewhere. What exactly all encompasses the Trap Tendo branding?
Just like I also am a huge video game. I love video game soundtracks, and I started pondering because I started working on a Commodore 64 as a kid. So I'm a nerd. I ain't gonna sit there and just play like I'm just some hard body. But I
Right.
started playing on there, learning how to do tones instead of like just regular programming, playing video games on the Commodore 64. Yeah, I'm old, but like working from there, going and learning different programs, and then learning how like SID trackers work, and listening to like the tones of video game soundtracks and stuff like that, and how to compose.
Right.
That aspect came into the whole Trap Tendo thing, and I really like having a lot of my beats to sound very video gamey, and I started meeting people that, oh man, I like the Mario Brothers soundtrack. I love
Yeah.
Donkey Kong Country. Everybody loves Donkey Kong Country. I heard John Giuliano sample the Schmidt out of Donkey Kong Country,
Right. Right.
1 and 2, and Chrono Trigger, which obviously has a bomb ass soundtrack too. And then I started meeting a couple of the guys from the video game companies, and I started getting different little small placements on apps, like video game apps. And
So it became an entirely new stream of revenue for you in the process of doing what you were already doing. You unlock something by literally opening up the fact that this is a huge part of who you are.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
this. Like I think a lot of people, when you incorporate yourself as a brand and understand like community, that you realize you have to understand that there are people that are like you and share your common interests, and not to just try to like, it's easy to see when a brand is trying to cash out on something.
Yeah.
And you'll see how long that would be relevant because of that. And you should just really just think about, hey, well, why would somebody like me, even if they ain't black? Like,
Right.
you like video games. You like it. There's a video game soundtrack you love.
I know there's a lot of folks that can relate to that because when I made that video about I made that video that I thought was going to be controversial, but it was actually a lot of people who were like, I'm glad you said this because I was worried about this. Is your gaming career hurting your music career? And a lot of people came up and were like, yo, I spend so much time on Fortnite, or I spend so much time on Apex Legends, or on the vintage video games, or whatever it is that they into. They were like, man, I don't know, like, I don't know the balance, and I'm glad somebody vocalized it because I thought I was crazy. I think that those who are in my audience right now watching, if that's not a reason already to go tap into what he's building within his channel, go check it out. Please go subscribe and definitely be open to another perspective that maybe you wouldn't get on my channel, especially with the reviews, because I know you and I had kind of disagreed on the Akai Fire. I didn't want to open up that.
I understand your perspective now that we talk now.
Yeah.
That you was coming from like, and it's really that's actually a good thing. The way you gave that perspective is
right.
A lot of people don't use hardware, but this is supposed to be their introduction into hardware, so they wouldn't know if it's good or not based off of certain things. But once you start playing with it and then you just see like, man, this is a bit too much. But the scale mode is kind of dope. That's the only reason why it's still here. It's holding up my camera right now, though.
He's like, oh man, oh man. I'm glad this video ain't sponsored by Image Line today, but nah, you good, you good, nah, you good. Because I'm glad to have that honest dialogue on it. Because what I was telling Av is that there was a lot of things he didn't like about it. There was some things that he did like, but he felt like it was missing. And my review was like so ultra positive that it wasn't really giving you like the things I dislike. But the truth of the matter was, I had never been a hardware head. Give you a story. My hardware, I got an MPC for the first time. I messed around with it for like probably 30 minutes. I watched an hour tutorial and I was like,
this ain't it, Chef.
This ain't it, Chief. I'm about to go right back to piano mode and I'm about to do the MPC swing quantization and we about to be done. And so that was like, I ended up selling the MPC for 2 studio monitors. It's my first time I got my M-Audio BX8A, which is the most ridiculous bass you could ever even get from studio monitors, I feel like. But right. I got those and that's where I was like, you know what? That's not my lane. And I respect it, and I see people do it live, and I've been in beat battles where I almost got beat by somebody who was like literally putting together the beat live, or shout out to the homie DiBiase, who I've seen him do things on the SP that I'm like, I think I want to. Well, no, I've had so many legendary. I've lost all of them, but I've had so many legendary battles against DiBiase. We did the Red Bull Big Tone in 2010 over in LA, and this man like
about that to Atlanta, man. I'm so mad at they wasn't messing with us then.
You know what? You know what I think it is though, that they stopped doing it is because of our utilization of samples and clips. It makes for a less entertaining video on YouTube when they actually upload it. Right. And also too, when they took it to BET and they had like the beat battle on BET, you can't play everything because you gotta, like, if we putting, we putting like video game samples from Pac-Man in there, that company finna come up like, yo, that's cool that y'all got ads and stuff on this, but what's that hitting for? Like, and it's too many that you gotta clear. Yeah, Namco, they like, it's too many you gotta clear. Ask Lil Flip. Lil Flip knows exactly how detrimental sampling that within the music can be. Remember Game Over? And how that, man, like, so you think about that, and I think about how they did that, but man, that was such a great time for producers because it was like we were all watching the same battles, no matter where you were from.
And YouTube was on the come up then too, so that's what really. And the homie Young Fire, I remember when he had finally ran into, what was my boy's name? Tracks Galore.
Tracks Galore. Okay.
They ran into each other in person, and Tracks Galore could not beat him on Rock Battle. But Tracks Galore finally
he had that smoke for him there. He was ready.
Shot-town producers, boy, I tell you.
Yeah.
But yeah, he brought that thunder that day. And same thing with Boondock. Boondock couldn't do well on rockbattle.com, but he had a great personality.
Right.
And he was talented as hell.
Right.
And he shined very hard at the Red Bull joint.
That's crazy. Well, I'm glad that moment happened just because of all the people that I met. But DiBiase was one that when I saw him with that SP404, I was like, yeah, I don't know what that is. When I first saw it, I didn't know what it was. I'll be honest with you, because I wasn't a hardware head. I was like, I want that. I don't know what it does, but he is doing this knob thing, and he's doing like these like it was like how we look at glitch, and we look at glitch or whatnot on or not glitch, what is it called? Gross Beats. We look at that stuff and like, bro, he was doing it on SP, and he was like looking at you while he did it, and it was like, you are so disrespectful how you were turning these knobs and looking me right in my face. But it was like he was such a humble beast. But I remember seeing that, and so when I got the Akai Fire, it was like, okay, I'm gonna be serious about it. I'm gonna really try to do some hard. It's my turn to learn it, and I am just a creature of habit, and if I don't commit myself to actually learning it, I'm not gonna use it. And unfortunately for me, like when I first saw it, I was like, yo. It's for somebody. It's an introduction to getting into that.
Me too.
I was like, yo, this is.
Head, I was like, yo, finally, I'm gonna leave Ableton alone. Oh.
Sure. But now that I'm like back in my groove, like my joint now is so much more simplified. Like I don't even want to have extra hardware. I just want. I still need like I feel like every producer needs their own cheat code, quote unquote cheat code. Scalar is that for me. Scalar makes my life so much easier because I don't play.
If somebody says that Scalar is a bad thing, regardless of, oh, well, you're cheating, it teaches you music theory.
Yes. Man, you know what chords you're putting together. That's so dope. You know
Yeah,
what? You know, yeah. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
no, I was about to say, yeah, I was agreeing. Like, and it translates to your actual keyboard play. Like, you'll learn off top like what you're doing,
Yep.
and you'll become a way better producer than the person that's just sitting there hating on it.
Yeah. Shout out to MG and these in that Neptune land preset that he had on there. It's just important, man. Well, I want to say thank you for your time. Thank you for opening yourself up to even break bread and have this conversation, because I think it's important that, you know, it's really important, I think, especially for the audience, to see that no matter where we're from, if we have a disagreement or we don't understand why somebody does something, the way they go about things, it's easy as a DM, it's easy as a conversation, it's easy as seeing eye to eye with people, and then from there just having a real conversation and just laying it all on the table. You watching that right now, and a lot of you were surprised at the beginning of this, and now I'm looking at the comments. That's why I keep looking down. I look at the comments and I see and I see you guys are like like you're interacting with the content now. It's less about, oh my God, these guys are on the same page together, and it's more about that. That warms my heart. That makes me feel so good about what's going on. And so, man, please tell the people where they can find you, what social medias you prefer that they find you on, and also, too, what products that you have that they can go check out.
Well, my social media, DJAveMcRee.net is my website. So DJ AVE MCREE. And AVE MCREE, Instagram, AVE MCREE, Twitter, if I'm on there, which is kind of scary right now. Twitter's going crazy.
Twitter's wild.
And AVE MCREE, the YouTube channel, and that's about it, I guess.
Okay. Products. What do you? Is that? I mean, obviously, they can be found on your website, but is there any products that is like the latest stuff that you're pushing right now?
Me and Imperial Music just did the Trap Wizard XP, which is if you're into Tone 2 Electra presets, I want to shout out to Marcus over there, Tone 2, German, by the way, and we did that pack, and shout out to TM and Billboard Hitmaker for co-signing that pack.
That's
finally
huge. That's huge, man. That's huge.
Yeah. But yeah, we did that pack as far as like a preset bank, and here goes my damn dog.
I'm just noticing I thought you had like I wasn't about to clown. I was lonely. I thought you had like a fur blanket on you, and I was like, man, I was like, you know, I was like, the homie probably just want to keep warm, but I was like, I had no idea you had a dog down there the whole time. That's crazy.
Yeah,
what kind of
long-haired Chihuahua? He's a long-haired Chihuahua Terrier mix. I see so many people that have dogs that look like that, and they say it's like they say it's a Chihuahua Terrier mix, and so I take it as that is that.
Yeah.
Because, but
it's all good. No, I gotta say, man, I appreciate your time. I appreciate what you stand for. I appreciate your channel, man, and
shout out to Ocean View and my brothers. I'm sorry.
Shout out to Ocean View. Them. Please do.
And Imperial Levels. By the way, those are brothers that hold it down with me on the website, and they definitely do some really dope stuff on there too as well.
Right.
And shout out to all my other brothers out there. I've given a shout out to everybody. Oh yeah, I see Bufu in the chat. I just looked to see him. I got to give him a shout out because he's out there in South America. And,
okay.
You know, that new wave is coming. You know, Afrobeat and dance hall is coming back. So.
Oh man, Afrobeat, bro. People don't realize, man. I had a homie break it down for me. Who he was like, you don't understand the Afrobeat artist. You still there? You gone? You there? Hello?
Oh, okay.
I was like, as soon as we start talking about Afrobeat, why they want to cut us off?
I was about to cut it. I wasn't gonna tell nobody, but that wave is coming.
Oh my gosh. I was just gonna say this. I'm gonna say this. There are people who are already multimillionaires in that genre who have never had to come to the US. They have mansions next to each other. They are living their best lives. And there's people out here who are trying to book them award shows, and they say, no, we won't come out for anything less than 500,000, 700,000.
And reggaeton is coming back something hard.
Oh, strong, man.
Those are my secret. Those are my guilty pleasures, but love the music. But I always love like different cultures and music. And I'm really feeling it. Anything that's gonna come from outside of the United States that have a cultural diversity. I really love it.
I love it too, man, because I think it forces us when we adjust to especially depending on what business that you consider yourself in. I'm still in the beat selling business. It's important that I provide variety, especially in a place that when I hear the music, it makes me feel good. It makes me feel warm. I want to give my impression, but then also respect the genre enough to study it and say, okay, even though I think this is what it is, that's not exactly it. I need to go back to the drawing board, or I need to, like, I didn't realize in reggaeton that until I worked with a reggaeton artist that they were using the same loop. And I was trying to make the loop myself, and it was like, no, they're using this loop for the drums and boom, boom.
Yeah.
Like they were using the same one that had these sort of, they had their own loop to it. Everybody using the same one because culturally that's the one that was the most authentic. And when I learned that, I was like, oh, okay, I see it. Respect the genre, then you can go in and have fun and start kind of breaking rules. But respect the genre, respect the people that came before you, respect the pioneers, respect them, understand them, study them. I don't care if you like I'm gonna do a whole nother video. Like I was supposed to do a man. I got to get this off. I got to get this off one time before we exit out. Like I'm going to do a video this week about sort of my views on lo-fi, and it's not going to be negative. It ain't gonna be disrespectful. I'm actually gonna come from the perspective of apologizing because I jumped the gun because I was thinking about a lot of things that my grandfather told me that happened to jazz that I thought was getting ready to happen to hip hop, and that they were kind of push people out and all these things. So we're gonna have a long conversation about it this week sometime. But I want to make sure that you understand what the Ninth Wonders and what everybody else, and I want you to chime in on this as well. What they really want is for you to not only just pay homage, because paying homage is more than, oh yeah, I F with Dilla. That's not paying homage. That's just telling you that you listen to somebody. Okay.
There are people that are just saying like Dilla is trash. I thought he was overrated, and I'm like, bro, I will slap the shit out of you on sight.
That is some fighting words. That's fighting words. And
this dude was making beats when he could barely lay up in the bed, bro. Like you can't. Some of y'all dudes are too lazy to make your own drum loops. The fuck you mean he's overrated?
Yeah. So we need to have these conversations, and we need to make sure that these conversations are not just a race issue. These conversations have to do with the generational gaps, and it's part of our responsibility as, sort of like middle ground. We're not old heads. We're in the middle ground where it's like MG the Future said it perfect. He was like, we're not the old heads, but we're not young to where like we can go get face tattoos and not look like a fool. Like we can't do that. Like dye our hair, green or whatever he said.
Got his hair dyed.
And that's what I'm saying. I'm pretty sure my son is gonna come up and he gonna want to do some crazy stuff that I'm like, that's your generation. I have to respect it. I don't want to be in a place, because I've uplifted so many young producers in this space called this YouTube. I've uplifted so many of you. I don't want to do this just to alienate you and push you away. I want to understand you. I want to understand what this genre is, because at the end of the day, I'm excited about seeing hip hop and boom bap find its way back to a mainstream level, and then also find its way to be profitable to these playlists. I want to understand it, because there's a lot of things a lot of conversations that I, as your OG or somebody you look up to, needs to have with you, so that you realize everything that you think you're doing that is new, go check out Odyssey, right? Go check out Black Milk. Go check out Nicolay. Go check out Nujabes. Go check out Dilla. Go check out all these folks, and don't just scan over it. Like literally sit with their Pandora station for 2-3 hours. And really breathe that in. But that's all I want to say about that. Av, did you have anything that you wanted to add on that particular?
Oh, check out, and if you want some legit stuff as far as like lo-fi drums and stuff like that, not just gonna check out MG the Future, and definitely check out MX6 Audio, because they legit with it.
and at the end of the day, like, what people got to realize is that we all want this thing that we all love in the music. Obviously, if you're attracted to a lo-fi, you love hip-hop. That's why it's called lo-fi hip-hop. You're attracted to it. You just want your turn. As a young producer, you want your turn to have something that you can call your own, right? This ain't your older brother or your uncle's hip-hop. This is your hip-hop. I get it. But there's lessons that we can learn. I was watching a video on MC Shan, and he was like, please don't make the same mistakes we made 25 years ago. Because in 25 years later, you're going to be telling the same generation that ain't going to listen to you that stuff, right? So We'll have a hashed out conversation on it, and I'll listen to you guys and we'll talk about it. But right now, this is all about Av, and definitely make sure that you guys subscribe to his channel. Leave some love here in the comments and all that good stuff. Nothing but love for y'all that are coming in here and sharing your day with us. And yeah, Av, man, thank you so much for your time.
Oh, pleasure.
All right, bet. So we're going to go ahead and log on out. I'll talk to you guys later.